Hi, we're live. Welcome to Botha Rants. My name is Sophia Botha. I'm joined by Ozma.
Hi.
Welcome to the YouTube show Botha Rants, where we go through all the latest LGBTQ news with a political bent of interest, at least to me. Well, I fucked up the intro, but hey. Anyways, on with the show. And to start with, completely nothing to do with anything other than Ozma proved the other weekend that she knows fuck all about Canadian geography. What was it? Canada only has 3 cities and Montreal's is small. Wasn't it? Yes.
It was something like that.
Anyways, I set her the task of finding out fun facts about various cities, starting with Toronto. She fucked that one up. But let's see if she's got any fun facts about Calgary.
I'm sure I am going to fuck this one up too. So with Calgary, there's a relatively large military presence in Calgary, which is relatively interesting, along with the Jubilee Auditorium, which is a relatively famous art place. I can words. And it's near the Calgary is where the Tsuut'ina nation lives, which is one of the First Nation governments, and that's like one of the more influential ones, which is cool. And they recently made International Holocaust Remembrance Day like a major holiday in Calgary.
Oh,
which is helpful.
yes,
because Calgary still has the Aryan Guard.
What?
They haven't done anything major since the 2010, but that neo-Nazi group is also, I think it's the largest one in Canada. So the Aryan Guard.
Right. Okay. Well, there's some fun facts about Calgary which you might not know. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the city,
Okay.
Canadian city you have to find out fun facts about next week. Montreal, that city, that French city, which you said was small, though I think you'll find it's double the size of Minneapolis. Yes. So next week we'll hear some fun facts about Montreal from Ozma. Yeah.
Actually, I might know. Well, no, I know someone from the territory. I don't know that I know someone from Montreal specifically.
Anyways.
Which makes the fact that my lack of Canadian knowledge even worse.
So, Scott, as I reported yesterday, there at the count in Glasgow, there was a fringe party who turned up with the yellow stars, which is Nazi iconography, which was...
But they're the ones being persecuted.
Right. And these fuckers, they're supposedly from the Liberal Party, which is separate from the Liberal Democrats. People sometimes get that confused. I mean, the Liberal Party really is a fringe party. Anyways, Scotland is united against fascists after far-right candidates rejected. Yes, these guys, as you can see, were actually ejected from the hole, because I don't even know if they were... actually, I don't even think they were actually... Nicola Sturgeon said that voters and showed racists and fascists are not welcome anywhere in Scotland. After two far-right candidates picked up less than 200 votes and one was ejected from the count. Glasgow Southside Independent candidate Jada Franson, that's how she speaks. We often refer to her as Squeechy. I mean, she's just full of hate. Confronted the SNP leader. Yeah, I mean, I showed you this video. But overall, the far right, with all the elections which were going on last week, have basically done a dismal showing. However, that might sound good, but actually there's a bit of a twist, as this article will explain. I
can read it if you want.
No, it's all right. I'll just put that.
Okay.
I've got to get used to doing this.
Fair.
Anti-fascist campaigners have been celebrating a dismal performance by far-right candidates in elections around the UK, from Scotland to council polls in England. Their disastrous showing was also attributed to what the organisation Hope Not Hate described as Boris Johnson's hyping of a cultural war, and the attraction of former far-right voters to a populist agenda that included strong anti-immigration messaging. The far-right group for Britain got fewer than 50 votes in 25 of the 47 council wards for which results were available on Friday afternoon.
Can you share
More than
sound
100
on,
votes were secured in only
screen?
10 of the wards contested by the party.
Oh, fuck, I forgot to...
The viewers can hear it. I can't.
Oh, I forgot to press this... Yeah, that...
It's fine.
Right.
The viewers are more important.
More than 100 votes were secured in only 10 of the wards contested by the party, which has attracted former British National Party members, and argues that Islamic doctrine and freedom are entirely incompatible. Nicola Holes, the CEO of Hope Not Hate, said the results showed how politically irrelevant the British far-right has become in recent years. After the BNP's collapse in 2010, many supporters were swept up by UKIP and then the Brexit.
Now, UKIP denied, right, that because UKIP supposedly had this bylaw banning former BNP members joining the party, but hey, how would they know? You know, really. And you know, it was pretty obvious that UKIP were turning it into the new BNP. I mean, back in 2009, I actually wrote an article for a now defunct blog where I predicted that UKIP would become larger than the BNP and far more dangerous. And in fact, I predicted Brexit in that article. I remember this very well. And essentially, the other thing is that the reason why, and we'll explain later in this article, you know, that the far right's vote has collapsed is basically because the Tories have moved to the right. I mean, Kevin Logan has pointed out on his stream. Please do go and subscribe to Kevin Logan, both on YouTube and Twitch. Great, you know, anti-fascist content creator, and personal friend of mine. He's basically pointed out that the Tories have now adopted policies which were BNP policies, That's scary, right?
Yeah.
And I often remember that the UKIP and Brexit Party wankers would always say, "We take as many votes off Labour as we do off the Tories." Well, considering that the Tories increased the number of councillors and the number of councils they control, and Labour's total has decreased. Okay, the reason why is largely down to Keir Starmer. However, the other factor is essentially because the UKIP and the Brexit Party are no longer relevant because, well, we're out of the EU. Those voters have gone back to the Tories. I always thought that UKIP were basically a branch of the Tory party, and I've been proven right. Yeah. So I do actually remember sort of saying this back in 2019 at the end, towards the end of 2019. It seems such a long time ago, but it's only a year and a half ago, isn't it now?
Well, I mean, the pandemic.
Yeah, I know. It just seems another lifetime. It seems a lifetime ago. But I remember sort of saying, well, yeah, it's not good that sort of the Tories have lurched into the far right, and but at least now there's one enemy. Before it was the Tories, UKIP, Brexit Party, EDL, and whatever else. Now it's just the Tories. There's one enemy, and yes, the Tories are. I do consider the Tories my enemy. They want to restrict me having a good life, basically.
Or even like a decent life.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm sort of decent or good. Pick your word.
I get what you mean.
So, it's good that basically fascism, which isn't subtle, that is less of a danger. In other words, than it was actually, but the Tories are more subtly fascistic, shall we say? That's the thing. I mean, Boris Johnson has a history of racism and homophobia. We've seen what's happened since he became leader. The party has decidedly become more homophobic and more racist. Despite David Cameron, although many years ago, trying to get the Tories to stop being that and being far more socially progressive. Yeah. But as I say, the good thing is, the Tories reverting back to their old selves. We now know who the enemy is, and I hope LGBTQ people, and I mean this is an LGBTQ focused show, because I know some people are, what does the far right have to do with LGBTQ people? Jesus, are you that stupid? LGBTQ people could not live, particularly those LGBTQ people who sort of vote Tory because they don't like paying tax. They need to wake up and realise they're no longer really welcome with the Tories. Okay?
Yeah.
So obviously the very wealthy LGBTQ people like Kate and Jenna just don't give a shit because money insulates them. But there are, shall we say, upper middle class LGBTQ people living in this country who probably have sort of started to vote Tory since 2010 because they felt that the Tories were less homophobic. Well, as I say, they've gone. The Tories are reverting to prior to go back to the old days of Section 28 and and alike. So
how is that conversion therapy ban going?
Yes, we've got some news on that. We do have some news. Yeah, it's
holy
funny.
shit!
It's funny you brought up. It's actually only been announced today.
Okay.
Now, okay, so we need to talk about this. Okay, Rachel Reeves. has been promoted to Shadow Chancellor in Keir Starmer's Labour Shadow Cabinet. Because this reshuffle has been a complete and utter fucking shambles. Did he sack Angela Rayner or hasn't he sacked Angela Rayner? No one's clear on that one. Everything fucking Keir Starmer does. It's not he can't organise a piss up in a brewery. He fucks up the opportunity of not being able to fuck up.
Well, he's trying to turn the Labour Party into Tory
light. Yeah, well, he's definitely doing
Tory
this.
light.
He's definitely doing this with Rachel Reeves. So let me explain. Back before Jeremy Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party, Ed Miliband was leader of the Labour Party, and in his shadow cabinet, he had Rachel Reeves as the shadow Department of Work and Pensions secretary, and she said Labour will be tougher than Tories on benefits. Now, she has said that she has been misquoted on this. Well, and she's actually said that to me, right? Personally. But I said to her, well, I actually heard you say it on, because she made this speech, and then, of course, she was interviewed on one of the political talk shows over here. A show called, well, it's not on anymore, but a show used to be called Sunday Politics, and she actually, I heard her say, Labour will be tougher on the disabled than the Tories have been. This was at a point where the Tories were killing thousands of disabled people with their welfare reform programme, and this was disabled people would naturally look to Labour, being as it's supposedly meant to be the party of social justice and equality, the supposed democratic socialist party. That's the natural, that would be the party which disabled people would naturally look to vote for and to speak up for them, right? Anyways, this is, her appointment by to Shadow Chancellor is just another fucking insult to disabled people from Keir Starmer. I mean, we have gone from under Jeremy Corbyn, there was a front bench spokesperson on disability issues, to now having an out-and-out ableist bigot on the front bench.
Well, it's fine so long as she doesn't see the people die.
And that's not the only thing. The first female MP in this country, I forgot what her name was, but I do know she was an anti-Semitic bigot. Guess who's all
anti-Semites in Britain? It's not like they were a character that was. They were essentially a joke sort of party in Worcester and Jeeves.
Let me find out what her name was. But anyways, Rachel Reeves has all applause for her. This is one of those Blairites who've been saying Jeremy Corbyn's an anti-Semite. Hold on, let me just find out. First female. Hold on, was it Nancy Astor? That's her. Yeah. She was an anti-Semitic bigot. So, Rachel Reeves thinks that there should be some monument built to her, or what the fuck ever. No, fuck off. She was an anti-Semite. Yeah, and I know some people say, it was off the era.
I mean, 1918 wasn't that far before the concentration camps.
I'm sorry, but even then, it was unacceptable. Okay? And there's no anti-Semitism. There's never any anti-Semitism should never be acceptable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those anti-mask, anti-vax assholes who go around wearing the yellow stars, so protesting, vaccinations, and comparing, the lockdown to the fucking Holocaust. You are just sickening. You really are. Okay?
Yeah.
It's fucking... It's just... A self-entitlement of some people, and it's just mind-boggling, you know. Anyways, so this is obviously in the aftermath of the local election results, which of course were disastrous for Labour and Starmer. This is, I mean, it's not just Rachel Reeves. He seems to be now wanting to surround himself with essentially sycophants. Okay.
Shock.
Right. But even before these local elections, Starmer was, and specifically Liz Kendall, I don't know if she's been sacked or she's been transitioned to another to another post, but even they were being. I actually prefer using the term disableist, as you're about to hear. So they're lucky enough. Disability News Service actually has a reader built in. More sites should have this.
100% yes.
The Labour Party has refused to explain why a major speech by its shadow social care minister ignored disabled-led proposals for fundamental reform, including free social care, that were backed by her own leader during his election campaign. Sir Keir Starmer, pictured above left, supported the National Independent...
Right. Can I just point something out? Keir Starmer supported a lot. Basically, he supported he supposedly said he was committed to all the policies which Jeremy Corbyn was advocating for. Right? Basically, he was pitching himself as Corbynism without Jeremy Corbyn. Okay? And he said he was going to unite the party. Right? Well, both those have been bullshit. Unite the party. He has just attacked the left again and again and again. He's not going to be happy until every last socialist has been kicked out of the Labour Party, right? And the other thing is that essentially he refuses to advocate for any of the policies which Jeremy Corbyn advocated for. All those popular socialist policies which people seem to like at the 2017 general election. Oh, I'm sorry, we don't talk about that. Well, Peter Mandelson doesn't like talking about that general election, does he? No, because that was the last time that Labour actually increased the number of seats that they have in Parliament, and that was the first time they'd increased their seats in Parliament since 1997. But of course, Peter Mandelson wants to waffle on about 2019, the 2019 general election, and blame Jeremy Corbyn, when in fact it was actually Keir Starmer's fucking fault for that asinine fucking nonsensical policy on Brexit. Anyways, onwards.
Independent Living Support Service, NILSS, proposals during his successful campaign to be elected party leader last year. He told Disability News Service, DNS, in February 2020 that he backed a motion supporting NILSS which had been passed at Labour's annual conference. NILSS, which was drawn up by Disabled People Against Cuts, DPAC, and the Reclaiming Our Futures Alliance, ROFA, would provide a universal right to independent living that was enshrined in law, and would introduce free social care in England, funded by national and progressive taxation. But despite Sir Keir's support for NILSS in his campaign, there was no mention of the proposals in the first major speech on her portfolio by his shadow social care minister, Liz Kendall, pictured above right. Labour's apparent backtracking on Starmer's support for NILSS comes amid mounting
Well, first of all, right, Liz Kendall herself is a Blairite. I'll never forget during the 2015 Labour leadership contest, someone I know who wasn't a Corbyn supporter. So you don't expect a Corbyn supporter to say this, but this wasn't someone who actually supported Corbyn. It was someone who was actually supporting Yvette Cooper, who's also on the right of the party. But they described Liz Kendall as a Tory. I mean, she is. I'll never forget. There was
not wrong.
There was this one of the first hustings meetings. She was basically advocating for the same immigration policy as UKIP, and it was like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so why should anyone be fucking surprised by this? I mean, okay, yeah, as I said, Labour, the disabled people would look to Labour as the natural choice to speak up for them, but these Kindles are fucking Blairite. None of this is a fucking surprise to me.
Concern about the government's plans for social care reform, with reports this week suggesting there will be no proposals included in next week's Queen's speech, with ministers apparently concerned about the cost asterisk. In her speech, Kendall made no reference to the idea of free social care, or proposals for a right to independent living enshrined in law. Speaking at the spring conference of the Association of Directors of Adult Social Services, which Labour had described as her first major speech on social care since becoming Shadow Minister, Kendall spoke repeatedly about the need for higher wages for care workers, and more support for family carers. She did call for more power and control for service users and families, and spoke about the need for more support to enable people to live in their own homes for longer, rather than in residential care.
Right, yeah, it's no firm commitments, is there? Which is typical. Actual policy commitments that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The thing is, social carers are treated like shit in this country. Okay, they're poorly paid, and they get no respect for the work they do, and they really do help a lot of disabled people, live a decent life. Okay, or near.
Yeah,
decent.
same.
And I really do think that you basically social care should be brought into the NHS. Okay, it's not at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, it's not?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And it's down to local authorities to decide which disabled people get care. And I kind of think that no, it needs to be done by the NHS. It should be.
Yeah.
If you for instance, I'll just give you it's not exactly to do with social care, but there's a friend of mine has a friend who's a wheelchair user, right? And they actually need a winch put in their bedroom so that they can get from their wheelchair to their bed, right? And
I mean, it would help.
The local council has refused to, right? So essentially, that the only way they can sleep is by putting their feet up on the bed and sit in their wheelchair. That's fucking awful, right? Now, okay, that's probably, I know some people say, well, at least they're able to sleep, at least they're not homeless, blah, blah, blah. That's not the fucking point. You see, this is something Tories don't get, right? But people on the left will, right? If you support a disabled person in being able to live their life, more independently, that disabled person is going to be able to do a lot more with their life. They're going to be able to contribute to society. They're going to become someone who pays tax, right? Etc. etc. So essentially, the investment you put into social care pays for its fucking self.
Yeah, but they need to see disabled people as human beings, and that's difficult.
Well, yeah, that's something the Tories, I mean, the thing is, some people have said, some sort of middle class people have said to me, why are you so abusive to the Tories? They can't be that sociopathic. And I go, well, look, when it was on the cards that the Tories were going to become complete and utter bastards towards disabled people in regards to welfare, right? There were disabled advocacy groups who went and met with the government, and well, the Tory government just wasn't interested. So what else do we have, other than being able to protest?
Yeah.
Basically. And here's the thing, right? And this is a very controversial thing to say, but it needs to be said. So, the Tories can kill disabled people, but disabled people can't kill Tories. Now, I would rather that no one killed anyone. But the thing is, because it's indirect, because you can't always prove whether welfare reform led to someone's death, right? Oh, that's all okay,
Well, see, here's the thing. It doesn't matter when governments kill thousands of people. It matters only if individuals do it.
Yeah. What we have seen is tantamount to genocide of disabled people. Even before
100%.
I mean, you see, before the pandemic, right? What was it? 100 and something like 100 and the figure was around 130,000 people, disabled people, had been killed, directly or indirectly due to welfare reform.
Yep.
And austerity, right? But now you think, well, obviously, was it about 130,000 people have died from COVID. Now, granted, you probably were going to get several tens of thousands of people dying from COVID just because, well, COVID kills, right? But we know that because of government incompetence, that figure is far higher than it needed to have been. The Tories just don't give a shit, okay?
Yeah, and
they only give a
shit. And far too many people in America were like, you know what? I don't care if some people are more likely to die from the pandemic, just so long as I get to have some more fun.
Right. Yeah. Now, I'll admit, I've the novelty's worn off. When it comes to the lockdowns with me. I mean,
yeah.
I will admit, when the first lockdown happened, I was quite glad it was a lot quieter. But I miss hugging people. I really do. I miss hugging people. I miss being able to spend time with my fiance. Yeah. But anyways, so it's not, so those people who say, actually, we're getting off the topic, so let's move on.
Yeah, sorry.
Hey. Right. Yes. Caitlyn. Now, I covered some of this last night. However,
man, that is
about poor Caitlyn Jenner, the private jet owner who's oppressed and thinking about leaving, and other private jet owners are leaving California. Oh no! Next it'll be the private limo owners who'll be leaving California. What are we to do? They're so persecuted by the fact that there's homeless people. Of course, Caitlyn Jenner could sell a private jet and give that money to homeless charities, so there's less homeless people.
Well, or even organize her own, in which there's
or stop being such a tight ass and be willing to pay more taxes so that the government could help homeless people. Oh, that isn't fucking okay. Anyways, but she said this, and I have to say, right, this is complete and utter bullshit. Now, this clip, I know some people say, oh, I watched last night's show, you covered this. No. For some reason, from what I remember, this clip wasn't covered in the LGBTQ article about her interview with Sean Hannity. And I have watched about 10 minutes of that that interview before I just had to tune out because I can't stand Caitlyn Jenner, a trans woman who has no grasp on reality about how most trans people are living, and well, Sean Hannity is just a cunt. So, anyways, let's just watch what she has to say about Joe Biden.
We've had 4 years of Donald Trump. We have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Give me your assessment of those three people.
What I liked about Donald Trump is he was a disruptor. You know, he came in and shook the system up, okay? A lot of people didn't like that in Washington, D.C., but he came in and shook the system up. I think he did some things that I agreed with, some things I didn't agree with.
You were critical on transgender issues.
On trans issues, LGBT issues, I was more hopeful at the beginning.
Because you're stupid and rich. Simple as that.
But there were some good things he did. On the other hand, Biden, I don't think I've agreed with anything. I don't think it's...
Oh, so you don't agree on anything that Biden's done? Oh, what, like the rollback of all the anti-LGBTQ stuff Donald Trump, enacted? Donald Trump, who you voted for, who you were told was a homophobe and a transphobe. You stupid, fucking, dense cunt.
Yeah. All of that. And more.
I just can't believe she said that. I really can't.
Hey, we all know...
She doesn't have any grasp of fucking reality.
Well, yes, but also that she doesn't care about trans rights as much as she cares about the Republican Party. That's always been the case.
Oops, sorry. Right, where were we? Yeah, here we were, yeah.
Since he's been in there, he has done anything for the American worker, maybe other ones. So it is a 180-degree turn in our country.
God. Now, of course, she's running as a Republican, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's not welcome in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
That's right. It's our old friend Lauren Witzke. Yeah. Oh boy. Content warning to people, because even I thought this is really fucking nasty. Okay. Let's just see if we can get through this.
When they first legalized gay marriage, we said that it is not going to stop here. When you give your enemy an inch,
Sorry, you think LGBTQ people are the fucking enemy?
Yeah. But different, so therefore fine to genocide.
So LGBTQ people are the enemy because they're LGBTQ, because they wanted equality and be treated with respect.
Yeah.
I'm lost for fucking words. And about the amount of fucking hate you have. This woman has hate to the... She is so full of hate to the core.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's see what else.
he takes the whole thing. Now we're talking about running a transgender Bruce Jenner for office running him under his biological name. They are running him as a way to cater to his mental illness as well.
Lauren, what the fuck do you know? Gender dysphoria is a medical condition, not a fucking mental illness. Why don't you fucking, actually, are you capable of reading? That's kind of,
Well, I mean, we all know that the medical and psychological community both are secretly run by people who are trans and or the Jews. I just assume anti-Semitism fits in a lot of places.
We are enabling a mental illness. When I said that the LGBTQ agenda is a gateway drug to pedophilia, that was statistically speaking. I'm not...
There's no fucking proof of that. There's absolute fucking a bullshit smear, and a very dangerous bullshit smear at that.
Well, yeah. there's all the statistics. Do I have any of them? No. Have I read any statistics that say that? Well, no, but like there's definitely statistics there somewhere. I swear. I read somewhere that there might be statistics and I never fact checked, and now I want to make it more difficult for people to live.
Not just making this up. 40% of people, they make up 3% of the population, but still make up 40% of the pedophilia nationally. Now, that is a lifestyle.
No, it's bullshit.
That enables and promotes pedophilia.
It's not a lifestyle choice. Oh, for fuck's sake. This woman, I mean, here's the thing. If she was talking about blacks or Jews, right, there'd be a lot louder outrage. Seriously. Okay? But she's talking, homophobia and transphobia are just as bad as racism and anti-Semitism. Okay? And they should be, and that is how it should be considered. Okay? True News is a far-right bullshit news service. So she's going to get a platform.
Ratio of male to female child molesters. Totally, that sounds pretty straight to me.
Really, YouTube or Twitter should. I think she's actually banned from Twitter, but I don't know about YouTube. She should not be given a platform by any social media corporation, because she is spreading very dangerous smears which are completely untrue. Okay.
Yeah, and anti-LGBTQ. I mean, it's the same smears that.
But it's not just anti. It's not just anti-LGBTQ, right? It's an utter hatred of Look, I am sure what we are hearing from Ron Winsky is what a lot of GOP arseholes think deep down, but won't say publicly. The thing is, sure, we are obviously opposed to all the GOP anti-trans bills being enacted in various states, banning trans people from sports, right? But at least at the moment, you don't have fucking GOP in these states saying, that trans people should be put down or anything. But essentially, Lauren Winsky is saying that she's gone beyond the hatred we see from the GOP, and that's hard enough to contend with, right? There is something seriously wrong with this woman. To hate that much, to hate LGBTQ people for just being LGBTQ, she's just full of hate. But she will carry on getting a platform because, well, essentially, she makes good copy. Essentially, she gets a reaction. And I know some people say, well, you're giving her a platform. Yeah, and I am, being forcefully, against what she is saying. Anyways, so I told you that it had been announced that they are going to ban conversion therapy. And here it is. The government to finally announce conversion therapy in a ban in Queen's Speech. Queen's Speech is happening this week. It's the state. Basically, to explain to Americans, it's basically when the government announces its legislative program for the next year. Okay. Okay,
but so it hasn't been enacted.
No.
Well, does that mean it will be enacted or?
Well, there will be a bill put to Parliament.
Okay.
So, but I would imagine this the bill, which will finally become an act, it won't be worth the paper it's printed on. There'll be so many fucking exemptions.
Yeah.
And well, you know, so that I hate to say this, it's you know, it sounds like they're gonna, you know, finally get with it. However, you know, I just think it's, you know, the pray the gay away will still be a thing, you know, after this. That won't be banned.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, LGBTQ people will still be told there's something wrong with them, according to some, you know, the interpretation of the word of some non-existent mystical sky daddy.
Yeah, although I don't think they're even doing it because of that. I think they're just absolutely.
You know, I mean, it says here ITV reported that the specific details on the ban are still being worked on, and that Prime Minister Boris Johnson has made banning the horrific practice a personal priority. Yeah, but you see, the thing is, they're not going to ban all versions of this, and that's the problem. There needs to be a blanket fucking ban. The BBC's Jessica Parker shared a tweet of the Queen's speech was unlikely to give any specific time frame for a conversion therapy ban, and said it is understood consultation will be launched before any legislative is introduced. Well, that sounds to me like they're still kicking into the long grass. Sources, she said, have explained that the short consultation, will look at how to protect professionals such as therapists, as well as religious that fucking euphemism, religious freedom. Yeah, we know about religious freedom in the United States, which seems to just extend to Christians being allowed to be bigoted towards LGBTQ people.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing which is going to be announced in the Queen's speech, and you might have seen it's trending on Twitter, is the Tories want to bring in photo ID for voting, which will hit
Shock.
Right now. Some people say, well, you know, it'll prevent electoral fraud. There's fuck all electoral fraud going on. You know, it's always the right who bollock on about there being electoral fraud when, you know, the evidence pans out that there's fuck all of it, and when there is, it tends to be the right who's doing it. This is going to hit poor people. It's going to basically poor people who are less likely to have photo ID aren't going to be able to vote. Yeah, this is a way of, you know, essentially the Tories trying to keep themselves in power. Yeah, it's as simple as fucking that. Anyways, more about that, you know, on in a future edition. Right. So, as well as being homophobic and transphobic, the Tories are decidedly NB-phobic. As non-binary people, do we really want legal recognition, or should we just abolish gender markers altogether? Well, I'm not for abolishing gender altogether. You know,
no, gender markers. So why is there a need for those on identification?
Yeah. A petition to make non-binary a legally recognised gender in the UK has collected almost 130,000 signatures. I've signed it. Because non-binary people aren't legally recognised, and I do think that they should be. Right?
Yeah, I mean, the UK is behind the US on that.
Yeah, there are some... well, Joe Biden's been talking about it, hasn't he? He says that.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of states have already laws.
So, yeah, I totally agree with this. You know, non-binary people should have equal rights. The thing is that there is a. Some people seem to think that I'm somewhat NB-phobic myself. I don't know why. I've always supported NB, non-binary people. Yeah. Why wouldn't I? I get to be able to put on my passport female. You know, they should be able to put up whatever gender they want, right? There's, and I don't see what the only thing is, I'll know what the argument against this is going to be. Oh, there'll be people who'll just take the piss. Yeah, but we've always heard this about every fucking pro-LGBTQ, piece of legislation. Going all the way back to civil partnerships and same-sex marriage. I remember there was that wanker down in Arizona who said, if people of the same sex can get married next, it'll be they'll be able to marry their horses or whatever it fucking was. It's just fucking ridiculous. I can see there possibly being an issue in that if you have it on your passport and you travel, there might be other countries which won't recognise those various other genders than female and male. But I would always say it's unlikely that non-binary and LGBTQ people are going to be travelling to those countries anyways, because those countries tend to be anti-LGBTQ. Yeah, for instance, I wouldn't be allowed into Dubai because I'm trans. As same with you, my darling, unfortunately as well, and all trans people. I'm sure there are trans people who have travelled to Dubai, in stealth. But if you are openly trans, you will not get into places like Dubai. Obviously, a lot of other countries in the Middle East and some countries in Africa. And that's sad. But we need to set an example. We need to say, hey, we support our people who are non-binary. Yeah. We fully support them, that they should have all the rights that everyone else has, right? So isn't that what isn't that something we should pride ourselves on? Are you all right? Are you all right? You seem distracted.
I'm a little distractible, but the random phone call from bullshit was didn't help.
Oh, all right, okay. Sorry. For those who don't know, I can see Ozma on stream. I was just as I said, yet again, another report that there are people who are signing this petition. Unfortunately, I didn't put a link in for this petition. I will certainly do that on Wednesday. I will remind people to please sign it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it should be signed. Make your voice heard.
So, right, it's been announced officially today, but Michael Gove, the slimy toad he does look like a slimy toad to me. He always has. I
totally see it at the very least with that picture. Although, do they pick? Sometimes places pick pictures that are the ones that make people look the worst if they.
But the other thing with Michael Gove, right, is that it was revealed a couple of years ago when he was running for the Tory leadership that he was back in the 90s was a bit of a cokehead. To which
I mean, so many rich
But if you know
people
Michael,
back in the 80s and 90s.
But yeah, when he was working as a journalist. But the thing is, right, Michael Gove always seemed to be too much of a choir boy to do stuff like that. But when we found out, I was actually genuinely shocked. And of course, he was running for the Tory leadership at the time. And I thought, oh, well, you know, nights around Downing Street, if Michael Gove is Prime Minister, are going to be better than a Led Zepp after show party. You know, there'll be bowls of cocaine and people riding Harley Davidsons up the stairs and people throwing televisions out the window. There again, musicians who do too much cocaine end up making albums like Oasis's Be Here Now, which was utter shite. Anyways, right. So, he was on Andrew Marr yesterday, which is kind of the equivalent to Meet the Press. Basically saying that, and without prejudice to a broader review of social distancing, it is also the case that friendlier contact, intimate contact between friends and family is somewhat we want to be restored. Yes. Ahead of the Prime Minister's Boris Johnson's formal announcement of the relaxation Monday afternoon, which has happened, and yes, you will be able to hug people, but please remember common sense. So in other words, don't hug people who've got COVID or who have COVID. Basically hug people you know very well and not anyone else. Gove clarified the contact means hugging, but his clunky choice of words sparked off much confusion, as it did thirst from queer folk who have spent months filling the void of human touch with cats and Netflix. Can't wait to invite...
I didn't watch a lot of Netflix. It was a lot of Disney Plus and
you can't
Amazon.
You can't afford Netflix.
My roommates still have Netflix. All of this is because I have roommates who pay for that stuff. So
can't wait to invite our thirds around for some friendly, intimate contact. I think that's a swingers reference, isn't it? Into friendly, intimate contact. Yeah. Anyways, I shouldn't have picked this fucking story. It doesn't. Oh well, I do fuck up.
That happens sometimes.
Anyways,
I usually look through stories and I pick a lot of stories, then I look through them and cut out what I don't feel like works.
Retired Old Bailey judge suggests anti-trans groups should help reform hate crime law. Yeah, and we should get Adolf Hitler in to consult on protection of Jewish people, shouldn't we? Yeah.
Yeah, Hitler would be the best person to stop anti-Semitism, don't you know?
Yeah, and also we should get Pol Pot in about how we could best support our intellectuals in society. There is a stereotype that all High Court judges are senile old fools. Well, this particular judge seems to be fulfilling that stereotype.
Well, at least it's a retired judge.
Anyway,
it'd be much worse if it was an active judge.
Do you want to give it a read?
A retired Old Bailey judge has questioned why anti-trans groups such as the LGB Alliance weren't included in a consultation on hate crime laws. Charles Wild, who worked as a senior circuit judge at the Old Bailey from 2011 to 2016, shared his concerns regarding a consultation by the Law Commission, which advises the government on legal reform in England and Wales. The commission is currently consulting whether hate crime laws should be expanded to cover misogyny, age, sex workers, homelessness, alternative subcultures, and philosophical beliefs. In an essay published on Tuesday, the 4th of May, May the 4th was a good day to be with this. For the think tank Policy Exchange, Wild said that he believes the commission has relied on a limited range of academics and organizations when it came to the consultation. He argued the commission had not heard from the full variety of academic voices, organizations, commentators, and members of the general public who have no organization to speak for them when it came to expanding hate crime laws. Wild directly targeted Stonewall in his essay, saying the Law Commission used the LGBT plus charity more like a consultant as opposed to a consultee. He said the commission had placed significant reliance on information and opinions provided by Stonewall and other like-minded organizations and individuals.
Oh, how dare! You know, pro-LGBTQ charities be consulted, you know, in how best to protect LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I mean, geez, that's just illogical.
Yeah, and why would you want to consult a bunch of people who are fighting for human rights about how to better people's human rights?
Yeah.
That just seems absurd. Wild suggested this could harm free speech and those who want to challenge positions on gender. He wrote, rightly, the interests of that. Wait, sorry. Let me do an old person with let me do an old person and do a terrible British accent. Rightly, the interests of those who might be protected are considered in detail, but little attention has been paid to those who might suffer or fear suffering, the consequences of laws being too widely drawn or misused. Wild said there are people who dare not speak freely on these topics for fear that they may be putting their careers at risk. Others fear, quote unquote, threat of the Twitter storm or a visit by the police as the result of politically or personally motivated complaint.
This is code for bigots charter. Essentially, that, you know, people don't like it when they get challenged for being bigots.
Yeah.
Now that's it. You know, you're always hearing this complaints from celebrities when they mouth off some transphobic bullshit. There was a tsunami of tweets against me. Well, because you're being transphobic.
Yeah.
Free speech. Well, okay.
You have free speech.
You know,
if you spoke freely against you.
Yeah. He noted.
There we go. He noted that one of the sharpest contemporary disputes concerns whether sex, as an immutable biological fact from birth, should be at the center of public policy and should not be confused with theories about gender.
Oh, by the way, going back to that Lauren Winsky bullshit we saw, did you notice that she said, you know, Bruce Jenner is their biological name? Sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's a biological name? Sorry, I've never heard that term before.
Also, sorry to Caitlyn Jenner for the dead name.
Yeah, I was quoting.
I know you're quoting someone I know. You weren't trying to be harmful. I just figured I'd put that out there.
With references, Wild referenced articles published by The Spectator, which is a right-wing magazine, which documented the climate of fear generated by activists in gender/trans debate. The Spectator, which of course is decidedly transphobic, by the way, has faced harsh criticism from LGBT plus activists in the past over anti-trans content, including former Stonewall CEO Ruth Hunt, who I've met.
He added, the Law Commission had not spoken, as can be discerned, to any organizations such as Women's Place UK and the LGB Alliance, both of which campaign against trans rights, or
both of which are essentially the trans equivalent to the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah. Or to academics or commentators who dissent. To academics or commentators who dissent from what is presented as the new orthodoxy.
Well,
I started to go Palpatine there.
You mean academics who have got a chip on their shoulder and spout bigoted bullshit?
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think we get the picture. I mean, yeah. Basically, he's defending bigotry. Okay, and he thinks that he thinks bigots should be involved in drawing up hate crime legends. What the fuck? You
know who's the best people for getting racial equal rights in America? The Ku Klux Klan. We really got to listen to them. No, that's no.
It's asinine.
Yeah.
Anyways, talking about the LGB Alliance, this was funny. Judge throws out LGB Alliance founders' fight to ban trans women from women's single-sex spaces. Hold on.
Yeah.
Right. So, the founder of the hold on. Right, no. Let's get this straight, right? So, the LGB Alliance has got charitable status, and I remember us going through, the regulations they now have to adhere to. One of those is not persecute any minorities.
Yeah.
What are they doing here? Trying to
persecute a majority. And it's still funny hearing that judge just throwing out the case and just being like, nope.
Well, yeah. I mean, not all judges are senile old fools.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, that former judge stopped being a judge like 5 years ago or so.
A judge has refused permission for a judicial review of the Equality and Human Rights Commission's guidance on the Equality Act 2010.
By the way, I did predict that once self-ID was shelved, that they would go after the Equality Act 2010, and it's exactly what they're fucking doing.
A judge has refused permission for a judicial review of the Equality and Human Rights Commission's guidance on the Equality Act 2010. Throwing out the attempted judicial review today, Mr. Justice Henshaw, sitting in London's High Court, said the case was unarguable, and that its interpretation of the Equality Act 2010 is wrong in law. The failed judicial review was sought by LGB Alliance co-founder Anne Sinnott, who crowd-funded more than £96,000 in legal fees. It concerned the EHRC's guidance on the single...
That was money well spent.
I feel sorry for anyone who paid money into that.
No, I don't. Anyone who funded this, they're poorer. So they're not going to be able to they're less likely to fund other legal bullshit, are they? Because they're not going to be able to afford it. As far as I'm concerned, if you want to flush down the toilet, nearly $100,000, in trying to have trans people, trans women persecuted, then hey,
I just see the LGB Alliance as like a con artist group that scams people out of money for hate.
It concerned the EHRC's guidance on the single-sex exemptions in the Equality Act 2010, which allow women single-sex spaces, like prisons or refuges, to only exclude trans women in certain, specific circumstances. Sinnott argued that any women's single-sex space with a trans woman becomes a mixed-sex space, and therefore that the EHRC's code of practice was unlawful, because it told service providers to treat trans women as women in most situations.
Well, guess what? Trans women are women.
Yeah.
End of.
Sinnott argued that any women's single-sex space with a trans woman becomes a mixed-sex space, and therefore that the EHRC's code of practice was unlawful, because it told service providers to treat trans women as women in most situations. Her argument was that trans women, with or without legal gender recognition, should always be excluded from women's single-sex space.
Ah, that's important, that bit. Even without legal gender recognition, that means getting it. If you're a trans woman who's got a gender recognition certificate. So in other words, basically, one of the things I've heard from TERFs is, oh, we've got nothing against post-op trans women who get legally recognised. We supported the Gender Recognition Act back in 2004. The thing is, you don't.
Yeah.
You've just proved it here. You know, essentially. Yeah. No matter if a trans woman is post-op and has a GRC, you still want a person to have them treated as second-class citizens because you're fucking transphobic bigots.
Yeah.
Her argument was that trans women, with or without legal gender recognition, should always be excluded from women's single-sex spaces. Justice Henshaw had heard from Dan Squires QC, representing the HRC, that there is no evidence that on the basis of the code of practice someone has acted unlawfully. It is not appropriate for a court to say that trans women should always be excluded, Squires argued. If there is a problem, then it can be challenged and the courts can judge if a service provider has done it wrong. While throwing out the attempted judicial review, Henshaw said, "The code of practice seeks to give concise and practicable advice. The claimant has shown no arguable reason to believe the code has misled or will mislead service providers about their responsibilities under the Act in order to place women or girls at risk." He added, "I recognize the concerns that women and girls and those who help to protect their interests have about the application of the gender reassignment provision in a particular context. However, it is in my view clear beyond argument that Parliament has chosen to place transsexuals in a different position to persons of their birth sex."
Yeah, I wish they didn't. In other words, just accept for transsexuals, trans women. Who uses a term for fucking transsexual these days?
I know, transsexual is like such a fucking 1970s term.
Trans women are women. End of. Okay? Yeah. Here's the thing, right? If a trans woman assaults a cis woman, which is fuck all evidence of any trans woman doing so, right, in a single sex space, right? Fine, prosecute them for doing that. I'll be the first one to say they should be prosecuted.
Well, I mean,
if they attack a cis woman, sure, that's assault, right?
Yeah.
End of, right? Until that happens, shut the fuck up, right? Because, drum roll, in all those countries which have self-ID now, there has been zero, violence perpetrated by trans women to any cis woman, okay? Yeah, in a single sex space.
Not in a single sex space.
Yeah, in a single sex space. What I'm saying is that basically, TERFs make out, right, that that if you allow for self ID, right, this would be a charter for rapists to gain access to single sex spaces, right, and assault cis women, right, by posing as trans women. Well, rapists can already do that without self-ID because that's the kind of shit rapists do, right?
Yeah.
But there is zero evidence of anyone doing it anyways. So, whatever. Anyways, this is not the only LGB Alliance story we have.
Okay.
So,
this.
Yeah, you seen it?
I've at the very least seen the headline.
Yeah, LGB Alliance says a trans woman can't be lesbians in demeaning anti-trans newspaper ad. Yet again, hello Charity Commission. This is the kind of shit. They're using their donations to finance. Okay, basically, transphobic propaganda. So, what was that stipulation in the charity regs about charity should not be should not be allowed to persecute, should not be allowed to propagandize persecution of minorities or whatever it was. Yeah. So, the anti-trans charity LGB Alliance has taken out a full page advert in Scottish newspaper, The Herald, ahead of tomorrow's election. Sorry, this is a little out of date, but I've been covering the election, so I'm just catching up here, and it's still relevant because they'll try and pull this stunt again if they can. The Herald ahead of tomorrow's election, urging people not to vote for candidates who believe trans women are women. Yeah, how did that go? Let me think. The SNP and the Greens, which are both the pro Scottish independence parties, now have 70, off the top of my head, 73 seats in the Scottish Parliament between both parties out of 129. And also, both those parties are very pro-LGBTQ, very pro-trans. So, didn't work out. So you basically wasted a whole load of fucking money. Haha.
Yeah, they do that.
Yeah, well, as I said, look, anyone who gives money to, I don't know, anti-trans legal fucking legal attempts or anti-trans fucking charities, fine. If you're poorer, I can't say I'm that weepy about it. However, obviously, I have to deal with the issue that if people do give these charities money or any illegal attempt to persecute trans people, that it's not good.
Yeah. One might say it's very bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, as I said, in this instant, it was a definite waste of money. Well, both the incidences. Yeah. So sorry, I'm going. I know it sounds a bit confused. No wonder this show gets fuck all views because I sound so confusing sometimes. Let me be clear about what I'm trying to say. What I'm saying is, okay, obviously, I condemn any person who gives money to any anti-LGBTQ cause. However,
yeah,
if people want to give money to anti-LGBTQ causes, and for whatever campaign, and that campaign fails, ha ha, you're poorer and you haven't got what you wanted. So I can't say I'm that weepy for you being poorer. I hope that now makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter categorically unsafe for LGBT plus people. Yes. Particularly young LGBT plus people.
Yeah.
I need to actually probably get in the habit of saying LGBT plus rather than LGBTQ because it seems the only thing is, right, on Twitter, right, when you do a hashtag, the plus wouldn't be included in it. Anyways, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are all categorically unsafe for LGBT plus people, according to a damning new study from GLAAD. GLAAD had originally planned to give grades for each site as part of a new social media safety index, but this was scrapped when it became apparent they'd all fail, quite frankly.
Yeah. I can read that.
All right.
They're categorically unsafe across the board. GLAAD President and CEO Sarah Kate Ellis said in an interview with Axios on HBO on Sunday, the 9th of May. For the report, GLAAD's team of outside experts examined the policies of each of the leading social media sites and their track record for enforcing them. What they found was that every single one of the platforms are failing to protect LGBT plus users from being harassed and threatened, and what happens online isn't staying online.
That's true.
There are real-world consequences to what happens online, Ellis said. There are direct lines that you can draw between the over 100 anti-trans bills that are now circulating the state level and what's being produced and pushed out within the social media world.
Yeah, I mean,
direct lines to, unfortunately, suicides of our.
I was going to say, I was going to interject here. I mean, Twitter has said that, you know, if you misgender a trans woman or a trans man, you will get suspended and possibly have your account taken away. But this doesn't mean that Twitter doesn't have. They have banned some TERFs, but you know, there's still plenty of transphobia. We know it.
Yeah.
You can report it, and I mean the worst for this is YouTube, right? Because even if, for instance, somebody you know, has to say pull a video for being trans because there have been reports of it being transphobic, and those reports have successfully managed to get YouTube to pull that video, ordered that video to be pulled. The thing is, that user will probably then put up a video saying why the previous video was pulled, and you'll just have to look in the comment section for the amount of fucking transphobic bullshit there is. Also, you know, I mean, let me just point out to a video we sat through, which was hideously transphobic, and that was that TMZ Conservative panel with a certain Lauren Witzke on it and John Doyle, and that was hideously transphobic, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, look, this study doesn't surprise me. I've always said, if you're going to go on social media, you need to have Facebook, I would say, is a little safer in the sense that you tend to, I mean, I only sort of communicate with people I sort of know, okay?
Yeah.
Sure, if you know, I have experienced transphobia on Facebook, you know, because if you go and post in groups which supposedly align with your politics, as I found out the other week with the disabled people against cuts, you know, there were transphobes lurking there. This is what TERFs actually do. They actually, you know, basically they lurk on left-wing groups, and as soon as they see some trans person posting, they will, you know, dogpile in with transphobic bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it doesn't happen on Facebook, but what I'm saying is Facebook is slightly. I could be speaking bullshit, but I'm talking about my experiences. Facebook, you can protect yourself a slightly more than you can with YouTube and with Twitter. Though I would add to any trans person getting transphobic bullshit on Twitter, there's this thing called the block button. It's very useful. In fact, actually, there's also this thing called the mute button. I actually prefer using the mute button because you don't get, basically, it doesn't outrightly, it doesn't ban someone from seeing your tweets, but what it means is that you don't see their tweets, right?
Yeah.
And therefore they could be hating on you and hating on you and hating on you. You won't see it, and they'll start be wondering. Basically it's frustrating for the hater because they can't, because most of these people want a reaction. That's what that's what they want, right? And basically if you don't give them a reaction, that fucking frustrates them. So I'm actually surprised that no one has set up, I don't know if there is, an LGBTQ friendly social media platform.
Well, I mean, the thing is, there are smaller social media platforms that.
Well, I was just saying. I mean, look, you got
set up, and I can't remember. There might be one.
You've got Parler for Nazis, right? Sorry, Parler. Well, Parler is basically Twitter for Nazis, okay, and Gab as well, right? So I can't understand why LGBTQ.
Well, because we've been fighting to try to be a part of the world, and
that's a good point. That is a good point.
It's very easy to feel like you're having a separate but equal space.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I didn't think of that. Thank you. See,
you're welcome.
Alex does make very good contributions to this show. Look,
yeah,
I'm just speaking from my personal experience. Look, any social media platform, just be careful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember somebody sort of saying, to me years ago about, I think they had their accounts, because they didn't put up the security. They were getting bombarded with shit on Facebook because they didn't do their security settings right. Okay, and they said, "Oh God, this is ridiculous." And I go, "Yeah, but you don't go out the house with your door open, do you?"
Well, you don't. Just kidding.
No, but the point is,
I don't either.
You don't leave your car unlocked, do you? Yeah.
Well, you don't. Sorry, I'm gonna stop it with that joke.
Yeah. I'm just saying, use common fucking sense. I mean, the thing is, essentially, if
because you matter.
I mean, the other thing is about spouting private stuff on social media platforms. I'd always say, well, you wouldn't go to the fucking town square and start spouting private stuff about your life, in the middle of the town square, would you? No. Well,
I spout private stuff about my life a lot on YouTube, but that's another story.
Yeah, but
I know what you're saying. I 100% know what you're saying. I am being snarky as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I do talk about my personal life on Facebook. Not so much on Twitter. But that's if I feel that people need to know stuff. But what I'm saying is, people need to understand. You see, I actually knew somebody a few years ago. They were standing for the local council, right? And they suddenly it was found out because one of their opponents trolled through all their tweets, and there was some sort of sexting stuff going on, And this turned up in the front page of the local newspaper.
Yeah.
And this guy called Mark, he said to me, "Well, I didn't realise that Twitter was public."
No, that's what direct messages are for.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're gonna sex someone on Twitter, do it through direct message. And
but you see, the thing that he didn't realise that tweeting stuff meant, he said, "Oh, I only thought it went to my followers." I went, "What?" No. I mean, I just don't understand how people didn't know that. People don't know that, but I guess So Jane Faye's always telling me, Sophia, you need to remember you have above average intelligence. Well, I don't want to think everyone's thick. Anyways, right, now I've been meaning to get to this video for weeks. In fact, it was in the running order twice on this show and I didn't get to it.
Oh yeah, the Paul Joseph Watson thing.
Right, yeah, you remember this.
Well, a Paul Joseph Watson thing. There's no million Paul Joseph Watson things.
Or as I like to call him, Pyjama Watson, because Pyjama Watson, I'll tell you how that came about. So, well known that Paul Joseph Watson never seems to leave his house. And when he does, he looks very uncomfortable. And I was writing, he was bemoaning Black Friday. You guess you're familiar with that, aren't you?
Yeah, but like, why?
Well, yeah, but funny enough, this came after he had done a video entitled "Capitalism is Great," and he was complaining about all the marketing there was for Black Friday. Well, all the marketing for Black Friday is a product of capitalism, you stupid fucking moron. Now, as I was writing this blog piece, and it suddenly popped into my head, Pyjama Watson, right? Because he never leaves his fucking house, and I know that I am the person who coined that nickname for him. And I have heard people like Cult of Dusty and Kevin Logan use it since. So, yeah, if you ever hear anyone refer to Paul Joseph Watson as Pyjama Watson, it's down to me. Anyways, Paul Joseph Watson has been losing his shit about how I don't even know who Harry Styles is.
Harry Styles is the guy who played in Game of Thrones, the person who is a friend of the Starks, and effectively was almost a bit like a diplomat for peace treaties, and so like in that he was sent over there because of some agreement or whatever between the royalty. Anyways, and then he betrays the Starks later, and then he gets his dick cut off. I can't remember the name of the character, but that character. The actor herself. Oh, also he was in John Wick. He was the one who killed I can't think names. Neo's dog. I'm terrible with names right now.
Yeah, I can't remember the character from Game of Thrones, and I did watch Game of Thrones. And as for John Wick, there was the John Wick Chapter 3, there was that non-binary actor who they've been in that series Billions. I forgot what their name is.
But John Wick supports trans rights.
Yeah.
So,
anyways, we're getting off the subject, as we often do. Now, so Paul Joseph, basically Harry Styles has suggested that men should carry handbags, and Paul Joseph Watson has been losing his shit about it. Let's get into this.
Appearing in the Gucci Beloved campaign, Harry Styles makes a very good case for men swinging handbags. He's just gonna make the case for men using handbags, and we're all for it. Okay, I just read through this entire article, eagerly awaiting to discover Harry's watertight case for men using handbags, and there isn't one. Literally no case was made, unless by making a case.
Alright. So, there's war, hunger, poverty, people being persecuted, and Pyjama Watson is getting his panties in a bind about Harry Styles suggesting that men should carry handbags.
Yes, although I hate to say it, I appreciate good humor and I appreciate terrible puns, and pyjama Pyjama Man made a good pun, and I disagree with his point, but it was a good pun.
You mean GQ name-dropping and plugging a bunch of luxury brands that it has commercial partnerships with, but that's not a case for men using handbags. Then we find out the actual case for men using handbags is so GQ can grift off of a Gucci affiliate link for a handbag.
Well, Paul, that's capitalism, and you did
That's
say,
capitalism.
yeah, you did say capitalism's great. Yeah, that's capitalism for you, Paul.
Bag that costs the best part of $2,000. So, gentlemen, you could go woke and get broke by shelling out $2,000 on a Jackie 1961 small shoulder bag, or there is.
You're just pissed you can't afford it, Paul. Actually, he probably could. Someone told me he is actually a millionaire now. For those who don't know, Paul Joseph Watson works for a certain Alex Jones.
Well, he worked for a certain Alex Jones. I didn't think he worked for him anymore.
I think he still has an affiliation with InfoWars. Though he wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but essentially, the Sandy Hook bullshit. Paul basically thought Alex was making a mistake by saying it was all faked and whatever else. However, this doesn't mean that Paul doesn't think that us Jews don't control the world, because he does believe us Jews control the world. He's just as bad, believe me. Anyways.
Is a cheaper solution. Don't know if you've heard of them, but we have these things called pockets. They're really good for carrying shit without the need to spend a monthly mortgage payment on some bits of buckles and leather stitched together for the cost of $1 by a sweatshop slave in communist China.
But Paul, that's capitalism, and you think capitalism is great. Yeah, you fucking hypocrite.
That's right.
Oh, no. Hold on. This is the thing. With all these uber capitalists, and you always get this with libertarians in particular, they always go, when capitalism does bad things, that's not capitalism, that's corporatism. No, it's capitalism. Live with it.
Harry Styles is striking a blow on behalf of marginalised communities by bravely donning his femoid Gucci swag on the cover of an elitist fashion mag, all in the name of raising obscene profits for a brand that exploits actual marginalised communities who contract horrible diseases because they're forced to stand for 12 hours a day without a break.
But Paul, that's a product of capitalism, and you think capitalism is great. You fucking hypocrite.
Who are paid starvation wages and treated like stray dogs while toiling away in dingy factories surrounded by suicide nets.
See, this is the other thing which him and Alex Jones try to do. And that's a great picture, by the way. Yeah. Anyways, what they try to do is they try to seem like they're anti-capitalist when they're not, right? And basically, all these guys are just hateful and angrily hateful about everything. And that's essentially it. If there's something to get pissed off about, they'll get pissed off about it, you know?
Gucci handbags for Harry Styles and all his fawning metrosexual sycophants. So woke, so progressive. What's next? Is Harry going to do photo shoots?
Sorry, what has carrying a handbag got to do with being progressive? Or being woke?
Well, I mean, if you care about rights...
I mean, this whole man bag thing is nothing new, Paul.
But I mean, also, I just found a really good handbag that I think a lot of guys would really look good holding. It's not like the most feminine women's handbag, but it's really good quality, and it's about $60. But anyway, sorry. That's
for the carcasses of dead tigers he's just shot to raise awareness for the plight of endangered species. Harry Styles confirms he's a pescatarian, while dressed up in fur and leather.
Paul, I think you'll find that's fake fur. And secondly, let me tell you something about leather. The difference between leather and eating meat, beef, okay? if a cow kills over and dies of natural causes, you can't, in this country at least, you would not be allowed, lawfully able to eat the meat. Okay, it's illegal. Funny, weirdly,
that's weird.
that you can't eat any part of the cow if it kills over of natural causes. However, you can use the leather. Okay, so
I mean, it's effectively vegetarian. Like, it's not.
Yeah, he's a plus also, I'd point out, pescatarian means he eats fish. So he's not exactly being hypocritical, okay? Which you're trying to make out.
He doesn't eat animals, he just wears their skin. But I'm sure Harry is shilling these egregiously expensive Gucci leather handbags because he wants to challenge gender norms. And it has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with him being paid millions of dollars a year to be a brand ambassador for Gucci. It's purely...
Well, I think it's quite good that if Gucci wants to challenge gender norms. You know...
Well, I mean...
Hold on. Let me make this point. So, let's say this was... You see, I couldn't think of Gucci being willing to have... some if they endorsed some actor 30 years ago who said, men should have handbags, they wouldn't have had that 30 years ago. Okay,
Yeah.
In other words, right, basically, it's a good thing that Gucci are now open-minded enough to have men they give endorsements to basically try and challenge gender norms. That's called progress.
Also, why the fuck did Paul Joseph Watson decide to bitch about some person wearing leather? Like, I don't know why Paul Joseph Watson cares.
Well, yeah.
A coincidence.
Unless he's starting to go down.
As I pointed out at the beginning of this, there are far worse things going on in the world, but hey, Paul Joseph Watson decided to make this an issue. So I decided to respond.
That leather goods comprise the overwhelming bulk of Gucci product sales, and all of this is not an avaricious Gucci marketing ploy to hoodwink the other 50% of the population into buying their leather products. No, it's about challenging gender norms. Shut the fuck up, bigot. Oh, sorry. There you were thinking he was wearing a women's ball gown on the cover of Vogue to boldly take on toxic masculinity, when in reality he was hawking another exorbitantly priced outfit made by, you guessed it, Gucci. And guess who sells the...
Are you jealous that he gets endorsed by Gucci by any chance, Paul? Here you are.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's really what it sounds like, because I thought he was pro-capitalism.
Yeah, I could just see Paul Joseph Watson, doing a Gucci advert. This is the handbag I carry. My copy of the learned elders, the protocols of the learned elders of Zion.
Oh God.
Yeah. And my copy of Mein Kampf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jacket. Oh, look, it's Gucci. This isn't a pitch to pulverize the patriarchy. It's product placement. It's free advertising veiled in a social...
Yeah, but Paul, yet again, this is because it's capitalism. And you think capitalism's great.
You think capitalism cares about your feelings, Paul Joseph Watson?
Yeah. That's a good one.
Social justice word salad. Nike, Coca-Cola and Apple are lavishly praised for their bold Black Lives Matter advocacy, while literally lobbying against legislation to ban slave labour because it would prevent them from rapaciously exploiting black and brown people. Fashion brand Boohoo virtue signals and genuflects for George Floyd, while literally using ethnic minority slave labour in the West. Oh, but they posted the black square! But that's not to say that Styles, Gucci, GQ, Vogue...
Sorry, Paul, do you support Black Lives Matter? No, you don't, so shut the fuck up. You called them out for being a hypocrite, for their hypocrisy, sure. I'm not denying that these corporations aren't hypocrites. But the point is, Paul, you don't support Black Lives Matter. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all these companies are merely doing this for the money. There seems to be a wider motive in play. Behold our newest ad campaign. Tasty. Are you sure this will help us sell more burgers? Burgers? If you want to embrace these oh-so-liberating lifestyles, then go ahead, be my guest. I mean, all the data really does suggest that it's not causing chronic depression and morbidly unhealthy lifestyles, but stop lying to people by claiming this entire ideology is some authentic, organically progressive 21st century upgrade of masculinity. When the entities bankrolling it comprise the top 1% of the 1%. The mob tried to cancel Candace Owens because she...
Yeah, everything sold is, marketed by the top 1%. I mean, Donald Trump was the top 1% of the 1%, and...
Or is he? Because he's not as rich as he likes to think he is.
Well, yeah, that's why I said was. And
probably won't be after he gets his ass sued by as many people who are suing him. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't know how much he owns in property either, because that's also a factor.
Dared to say Harry Styles wearing dresses wasn't manly. And she was completely correct. It isn't.
Men not wearing dresses isn't manly. Right. Hold on a second. I'm just gonna... There's just something I need to go and find.
Is it Jesus?
No, hold on.
I meant like a picture of Jesus, not Jesus, because obviously neither of us have any intention of converting to Christianity.
There's one specific advert, and I just, it's this one. Right. Right. Okay. Paul, you say that wearing dresses isn't manly. Okay. Well, I think this advert would beg to differ.
Excuse me? Are you wearing a skirt?
What are you, that, sissy girl? This is no skirt. This be a utility kilt made from the finest duck cloth.
Right. Get the drift? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean...
It's how you...
I mean, he's gonna nitpick the fuck out of everything.
Well, you'll say, that's a kilt. That's not, and it's not a dress. Here's the thing, right? The Romans wore dresses. Yeah, they were pretty hard fuckers. In fact,
Jesus.
It was actually I think it was the French who invented trousers, and the Romans thought they were wussies for doing so. Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah.
The Greeks wore togas. Yeah. Shut the fuck up, Paul.
Yeah, this just proves Paul Joseph Watson is against Jesus.
Yeah.
Manly. You can't on the one hand claim that a man wearing a pink frock is a courageous act of gender bending, and then in the same breath claim it's manly. It's not. Oh, but David Bowie wore dresses. Kurt Cobain wore dresses. So what? Women fancied David Bowie and Kurt Cobain because they were world-famous, multi-talented, rich musicians, not because they wore a frilly dress. Cobain wasn't called...
Well, I would say Bowie was respected and loved because he did push the envelope with what you could describe as gender bending with the whole Ziggy Stardust stuff.
Well, yeah, but also Paul Joseph Watson, avoided the thing, moved the goalpost just because I thought this was about whether or not they were manly.
Also, he forgot to mention the other person who was pictured was Iggy Pop, and how fucking dare you? Iggy Pop is about as near to God as you can get, okay? He is the godfather. He is the godfather and god of punk, all right?
Voice of a generation because he carried a purse. I mean, at least Bowie was good for his word and actually had gay relationships. Harry Styles literally just pretends to be gay for corporate...
What
What?
do dresses have to be with have to do with sexuality?
Well, yeah, and
It
also
has nothing to do with sexuality. You can be a straight dude and wear a dress.
Is he accusing Harry Styles of pretending to be gay?
Yeah, because he wore a dress. That's essentially Paul Joseph Watson's
I don't know
reasoning. Paul Joseph Watson is saying if any guy wears a dress, he must be gay or pretending to be. It couldn't just be that.
No, Kurt Cobain wore a dress, and he I've seen the pictures of Kurt Cobain before on stage wearing a dress. Kurt Cobain was heterosexual, as far as I know. But the one thing with Kurt Cobain was he wasn't a bigot like you, Paul. In fact, actually, Kurt Cobain made it very clear that he never wanted homophobes or racists or misogynists attending Nirvana gigs. Right.
When Bowie was doing it in the 70s, it was avant-garde, it was subversive. When every major corporation, cultural institution and major media outlet is promoting it in 2021, it's not anti-establishment, it is the establishment. When governments are passing laws that lead to people...
Oh, you sound so...
Why the fuck does whether or not it's anti-establishment matter?
Well, yeah, and he's pissed that the establishment tends to be a lot more friendly towards trans and gays and lesbians. Well, sorry, far more friendly towards the LGBTQ community because he's a bigot. But
yeah,
the whole thing with corporations using the rainbow as a marketing gimmick. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, there's a lot of LGBTQ people who are still being who are still oppressed and persecuted in this world, and I don't like the fact that those corporations are making a profit from a symbol which is meant to raise awareness of that, but at the same time, it shows that LGBTQ people are far more accepted, at least here in the West, and that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. So, that's why I've always stood on basically the rainbow being adopted by various corporations as marketing tools, usually around the month of June, which of course is Pride Month.
People being thrown in prison for using the wrong pronouns. Virtue signalling your non-binary...
Hold on, no one's been thrown in prison for using the wrong pronoun. I think...
I don't know what picture that is.
The only country I know which has a law against you which it's illegal for you to use the wrong pronouns, is Canada. And I think it's a fine.
Well, it's I mean, they blow up C-16. That's not the only place. It's just Canada extended laws that were in a lot of the major cities to a federal level.
Advocacy while raking in millions of dollars for doing so isn't an act of rebellion. You may not be attracted to it, but what people do has nothing to do with you. It isn't stupid because you don't agree with it. I think he's brave to fight against toxic masculinity, despite the backlash he's getting from prejudiced people. Amplifying narratives force-fed to us by every transnational behemoth in existence. Oh my god, so brave. Brave in 2020 versus brave in 1945. Harry Styles looks like a male model. He's one of the most handsome dudes on the planet.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that it doesn't require some amount of courage to fight soldiers or whatever, but like that was a lot of Japanese people dead. That place was as well fortified as they could make it, and
sorry,
it was still kind of a small. Oh, the flag picture they showed.
Oh.
The Battle of Iwo Jima.
Oh yeah. Oh, so he thinks you've got to be a what does Paul think? You've got to be a soldier to be a man, or is that it? All right, Paul. get down to the recruiting office tomorrow, will you, mate? No.
Suit up.
Yeah. Yeah, if if that's what you think, is going to make you a man, stop being such a fucking hypocrite. Yeah. Anyways,
but also purge has been used broadly and specifically before. I mean, it's not simple.
And he's worth $80 million. Yeah, I think that's got more to do with his popularity amongst females than the fact that he occasionally puts on a ball gown for a photo shoot. He can even dress like a B-Tech 70s pimp and all the girls still wet their pants. Back here in the real world...
Actually, that does look like a B-Tech 70s. I have to admit that he's got that one right. He just needs the hat.
The vast majority of heterosexual women aren't attracted to dudes in skirts who carry handbags.
How would you know? You're an incel, Paul. You wouldn't get fucking laid. Yeah. Women aren't attracted to unless they're gammon. But generally, women aren't attracted to people who continuously spout hate after hate after hate after hate. More fucking hate. Yeah, which is all that you do.
Bags because it's not manly. But men have been carrying man bags for decades. Yeah, and that's not manly either. Again, pockets. Listen, if you want to wear a dress, wear a fucking dress. But claiming it's manly is like parading around in a pink tutu wearing stockings.
Oh dear, Paul can't cope that things are changing, that attitudes are changing. Oh dear, Paul, you're such a fucking boomer.
By the way, but the thing that Paul Joseph Watson cited in terms of being arrested for pronouns, also, I don't think there was an arrest made, but basically a journalist was being investigated by police for using the like a actual newspaper or platform, or basically using using her popularity to harass a woman's transgender daughter.
Right.
So, someone harassing kids getting investigated by the police. Oh no! What a horrible thing.
Right, so talking about Paul Joseph Watson and Alex Jones and InfoWars, more than 440 people have been charged with taking part in the Capitol siege, coming from all but 6 states, with the most coming from why doesn't that fucking surprise me?
I feel sorry for someone I know from Florida.
I'm surprised it's Pennsylvania, not Michigan there, but and Florida. Well, we always talk about Florida, man.
Florida's hell.
Yeah, Florida, man. So. Yeah, the FBI still after the worst in the Capitol riot. Yeah, I mean, they haven't got Ali Alexandra yet, as far as I know. He's the guy who looks a bit like Sammy Davis Jr. He put out this video saying he was going to build MAGA cities a while back from what looked like a basement. So 4 months after the Jan 6th riot. Isn't it funny? Probably the biggest event, the biggest thing to happen this year happened in the very first week of the year. Anyways, 4 months after the January 6th riot at the US Capitol, FBI agents maintain a steady pace of arresting people accused of taking part as one of the largest criminal investigations in American history keeps growing. We're not done rounding up the worst of the worst, said one law enforcement official. By the way, Alex Jones was supposedly meant to be being investigated for his part. I haven't heard any outcome of that yet. More than 440 people have been charged with taking part in the Capitol siege, coming from all but 6 states: Mississippi, North and South Dakota, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Wyoming. Now, I am really surprised that nobody from Mississippi was arrested. That's the one that surprised me. The largest number come from Texas, Pennsylvania, and Florida, as we've always said. In that order, Men outnumbered women amongst those arrested by 7 to 1. That doesn't surprise me. With an average age of 39, as I said, boomers. According to in such figures compiled by the program on extremism at the George Washington University in Washington D.C., a total of 44 are military veterans. Yeah, well, you know, most people who go into the military are Republican dipshits, and when they came out, they're fascist dipshits. More than, by the way, I am sick and tired of people saying you show disrespect to veterans. Hey, look, nobody forces anybody to enlist in the army. Okay.
Well, I mean, so
I know people.
I don't know if it's the same.
I know people get conned into it with fucking glossy fucking adverts.
Well, not just that. In terms,
and I know that in
America,
and I know in America they bribe people with college tuition, but
well, also it's like some people, it's the people see it and they see that as their only way out of poverty or ending up being forced to.
I'm not denying, but I'm so sick and tired of this fucking unquestioning reverence for the fucking army when we don't have a draft in this, particularly in this country. We don't have a draft. No one's conscripted. I just kind of think, hey, look, if you're stupid enough to go and pick up a gun and go and want to fight brown people, then fuck you. It's just my attitude. Sorry. More than 60 of those arrested so far face the most serious charges of assaulting officers with U.S. Capitol whatever. Right. So, university professor gets off scot-free after comparing trans community to QAnon.
Holy shit.
Sorry. I don't know any trans. Well, there might be some trans people who think that us Jews drink the blood of babies, but generally not. Professor at the University of Rhode Island, Donna Hughes, has reported has not been sanctioned for calling the trans sex fantasy the left wing equivalent of right wing QAnon conspiracy theory.
Oh my god! An essay for Gender Critical News site 4W, Hughes wrote that unlike the imaginary world of QAnon, real children are becoming actual victims of left-wing ideology in the United States. Her vitriolic essay also compares gender confirmation surgeries to eugenics, writing, "The eugenics movement to breed a better race of people was a fantasy, so is the trans sex movement." URI, that sounds like a medical condition. URI named Hughes in a statement asserting that it does not support statements and publications by Professor Donna Hughes that espouse anti-transgender perspectives and recognize that such discourse can cause pain and discomfort for many trans individuals. The university agreed that her First Amendment rights of freedom of speech would be upheld and faculty had the right to academic freedom. However, they did insist these be exercised responsibly and she should hold appropriate restraint in expressing her views. Hughes, who runs the university's Gender and Women's Studies postgraduate course, told Just the News that thanks to the only intervention of thanks to the early intervention of her lawyer, she had received no punishment for the essay or other controversial views.
Well, she should be thrown. She should be thrown out the faculty. She should be thrown out the fucking university. I mean, what's she?
She runs gender and women's studies.
Well, yeah, and she's a TERF.
Yeah.
Anyways, look, I'm going to leave it there because I'm flagging. I'm tired. In other words,
Okay.
There's some. I will get to some of these stories on Wednesday. I think we've been going at it for 2 hours. So
yeah.
Anyways,
and you matter too, and your health and well-being matter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. Well, I will be back on Wednesday. Hopefully. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. You probably won't, but hey ho.
Yeah, but do it anyways. Check it out.
Please.
If you've watched through this far, it's worth a like.
If you like what we do, please give it a share. I know you won't. I mean, I never see anyone share any of these fucking videos.
Well, I mean, I don't know what people say to their friends, and sometimes people don't.
I am so fucking sick and tired of the fact that the fucking trans establishment in this fucking country is basically, has constantly fucking undermined me. All because I'm fucking disabled. I'm not the acceptable face of trans. Basically, the various individuals who I could name, they're only interested in me if they can control me, and usually controlling me is packing me off to somewhere else other than the front line of trans activism. And
yeah,
I'm sick and fucking tired of this.
Yeah, because fucking ableist bigots care. Some ableist bigots care more about that than trans. Than the intersectionality that's important for people fighting for the rights that they need.
Anyways, all right. Give this video a like if you like it. Please share it. Share the link to the fucking video. If you've got any feedback, leave a comment below. And most important of all, please subscribe. In the meantime, if I'm back on Wednesday, stay safe. Well, stay safe anyways. Take care of yourselves and peace out.
Bye.